Death Wish by Brian Garfield. Book and tape read along. You'll know it is time to turn your page when you hear. Let's begin now. For Larry and Loretta. Chapter 1. Later, he had worked out where he had been at the time of the attack on Esther and Carol. It must have been a few minutes after the lunch broke up. It had been a bibulous meeting with the clients, and Paul had felt the effect of the Gibsons. Nah, just kidding. This is a director commentary. Yeah, I wish. It's a fan commentary for the 1974 Michael Winner Dino De Laurentiis classic Death Wish. I've actually done notes. I've got props and everything. That was a book. I don't know if that'll translate. Obviously, I've got a book. I didn't memorise that. 40p. What does that get you nowadays? And we'll get on to that in a second. What's always really funny about Death Wish 1 though, because I'm so used... Oh, by the way, got 3 beers right here and 1 in the fridge, so I don't have to get up. If I have to get up, I'll have to just get up. But I've got 3 beers on the go. What's interesting about Death Wish 1 though, because I'm so used to watching the sequels that I always forget that it starts off quite cheery. It's kind of like, they're on the beach and, he's got his hot wife and everything, and he has to like sort of build up to, being like a badass, and it's kind of like there's been a long muted remake with muted, is that the right phrase? We'll see. But there's been they've been touting a remake for ages with Sylvester Stallone. And I remember him saying for a long time that sort of the one sort of, not bad casting, because obviously Charles Bronson in Death Wish is probably the best casting of all time, but sort of, you always think of Charles Bronson as being this badass and this super cool, tough guy, and in real life he wasn't, but even in the movies you think that as soon as you see him. So in this film, because it is this slow build up and sort of things like that you instantly think, oh, it's he's going to kick ass straight away. And it's like if they do cast Stallone in the remake, because he's got so much of this reputation as being like a badass, it'll be like but we'll see how it goes anyway. Nice shot of the bridge there. What's funny, because this was released on July the 24th, 1974, which means I was 14 days old at the time. And that's not a sentence you can say every day. In the book, which I just read from, thanks to Brian Garfield, by the way, that book was written in 1972. Wow. I mean, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say. Trying to sync it up retroactively, because I've got notes for kind of, every scene. But there's a weird building on the beach. For anybody trying to sync up, they just get into the taxi now, and it says costume designer Joseph G. Alucii as the on-screen credit there. There's a weird building on the beach in the distance, and it just kind of caught my eye. And it's also produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who produced Transformers the movie, Maximum Overdrive, and the 1970s King Kong, Hancock. But that's another thing about this film as well, and the series as a whole, is that like Brian Garfield, his name's on screen then. They got Herbie Hancock do the score for this one. They got Jimmy Page do Death Wish 2 and 3 and stuff. So great scores, and scores for 4 and 5 are good as well. Who did them? My memory's just it's escaped me at the moment. But and another thing though as well, I know I mentioned it probably every other commentary, but one of the very first records I ever had was by Jeff Love, and it was Star Wars and other space movie themes, and it had a James Bond one as well, big Bond themes, both by Jeff Love, and he did like sort of orchestral sort of versions of computer paper. remember it's before computers. God, I'll have to let that drop. But anyway, do you ever find women in the background with Charles Bronson walking past attractive? But yeah, so I got these Jeff Love albums, and for some reason a Jeff Love album I didn't get for a long time was something like Big Terror movie themes or something like that. It's got like The Exorcist on and Terror Inferno. But like, this film couldn't be any better. There's a version of the Death Wish theme by Jeff Love. It's like, rock on. I know this is probably sacrilegious to say, but it always kind of reminds me of the film Daredevil. Kind of, you could draw a line around that model there, be the intro to Escape from New York. But yeah, because like in Daredevil, Matt Murdock's like a lawyer, and then in this, Paul Kersey's an architect, and he's a vigilante, and there's a couple of shots of like shadows on the wall and stuff, and it just probably in the subway and things like that. It's like, oh, Death Wish. That's another thing though as well. On the back of the book, I haven't read this book, obviously. I mean, no disrespect to the book. It's just, it'd be right up my alley as well. A dime store novel and, kind of exploitation. I should really give it a go. But on the back of the novel, it says, Paul Benjamin is just like you. And that's one of those weird movie things where, like, if he was called Paul Benjamin in this, you go, okay. But I don't know why sometimes they'll change little things like that. And I'm sure there's real logical reason for it, but it's just, I don't think it affects the sort of the movie or the book in any way. If he was named, I don't know, Paul Shufflebottom or something. No disrespect to anybody with that name, but certain names have got certain comedy connotations. But Paul Benjamin, okay, that's just a name, I'm sure. But that's one thing as well. I was watching this for research, but this is such a great 70s supermarket. Anybody who's sort of syncing up the commentary with me, I'm actually doing this. I've got an HD widescreen version available to me right now, but I'm doing it from the 4.3 VHS. There was one trailer beforehand. It was Dead Man on Campus. There's a great line, and it was like a student, and he's like woke up, and he's like, "Oh, what time is it?" And he says, his mate says to him, "Oh, it's like 7:15. He goes, "Oh, that's good." He goes, "But at night." So it's like been asleep all day. And I don't know why every time I watch this trailer, every time I watch this tape, that line on that trailer always makes me laugh. It's like, it's funny. Yeah, but anybody watching this, and not just listening to it, anybody actually watching it with the footage, a great 70s supermarket there, like, sort of all like clockwork tills and, big buttons and, and things like that. But that's another thing there as well, really. And I've been sort of trying to get through all the Death Wish films, and might do Death Sentence as well, which was written by Brian Garfield, and they made it way after the fact. Kevin Bacon's in it, and it's like really the proper sequel to Death Wish. Don't know why I couldn't think of the name of the commentary of the film I'm doing a commentary for. Yeah, but really as well, and I probably mentioned it on all the other Death Wish commentaries, but heck it, I'll say it anyway. But because Death Wish 1 came out in 1974, and I was born in 1974, like I said at the start of this commentary, I was 14 days old when this movie came out. So anything with 1974, is the release date, or that was made in 1974, or people who were born in 1974, I feel like nobody else really. I've even mentioned it on message boards, and I've mentioned it to people in real life, and not many people. I think some people do and some people don't, because there's so many of these shows like I love 1982, and people are like, oh, remember space operas and things like that. But like, so I think people have got that, and I've even had a birthday card with a DVD like things that happened in 1974 and stuff like that. So I think people do have a connection to the year they were born, but at the same time, I really feel a real strong connection. Like when I watch this film and I think, wow, I was born then. That's when I was born in. That's like the kind of supermarket my mum would have gone to. That's the kind of truck my dad would have drove, because my dad used to be a truck driver and stuff. And that's how much petrol cost in 1974 and things like that. So, and I really like, and I know I say it on every commentary, and in real life it's become like a real cliche of, because like I've got a real beamy bonnet when people say, oh, we didn't like, and I even mentioned it the other day, like, because like when I grew up in the 80s. And I talk to people of my generation now, they always seem to, and I don't know if it's selective memory, if you're trying to sync up with this commentary, by the way, this is where I think you're going to come unstuck, because this is the UK VHS version that was released, it even says on the box, for the first time on video in 15 years. Sorry about that, buddy. Always get wind on commentaries. Reminds me of Lone Boy's post, usually has his breakfast just before he does a video, and I haven't got that excuse, I'm just drinking beer. I wonder who drinks beer on this commentary too, maybe it's that. Yeah, but if you're trying to sync up with this is probably where you might come and you might have to just pause it, I think, because it's the UK one and it's probably cut to shreds. But these were always the scenes as well, though, where I always like, it's like, oh, can't we get to the cool shooty parts? And you got like, if you're watching this with your parents, I don't even watch with your parents even now. It's like, it's like, oh, that's a shame. It's just like, it's like you want to get to the cool Charles Bronson-y, action-y parts. But yeah, but talking to people of my generation, like now, like the last couple of days, I went to the pub on Monday with my dad, and I went to the pub yesterday with Stu. And I think it's really funny that I even saw somebody who recognised, like, are you Dave? I was like, yeah. And like allegedly went to school with me, knew, but I couldn't recognise it all. But it's always funny because, like I say, people who I grew up with, like I can remember computers, I can remember going McDonald's when I was at school. And it seems really funny that, like, and I guess you're more aware of it if you grew up in the 70s and 80s or, the 50s and 60s, you'll be aware of that. But and it's quite consistent, and it doesn't seem to happen with any other decade. And like I say, it might just be because I didn't grow up in that decade, so I don't notice the little inaccuracies. And I make mistakes all the time. I probably made 10 mistakes already on this commentary, and they were only 11 minutes in. Classic exploitation running time though as well. I think it's on for 89 minutes according to the way, so it's like sailing right under the 90-minute mark there. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm just noticing these little inaccuracies because that sort of because I grew up in that decade. But like I say, I think that's why I've got this connection for things from the 70s and 80s, and especially things like 1974, like I say, when the computer paper right at the start. But like when I was growing up, you get people like my dad who'd say, oh, we didn't grow up with computers in my day. And my dad was born in 1935, so, excuse me, my dad probably didn't grow up with computers. But like I say, the people who I grew up with, like say, oh, the reason there's an obesity crisis is because we didn't have McDonald's in my day. And it's like, well, the first McDonald's opened in the UK in 1974, and McDonald's in Staffordshire, in like Newcastle and Lange, where I'm from, that like there was a McDonald's in Newcastle, and in 1985, I think we got a McDonald's. So it's like basically my whole life, from when I was a little kid till now, there's been a McDonald's. And people, oh, we didn't have McDonald's. But like, yeah, we did. And then it's like, oh, well, kids didn't sit on the computer all day like they do now. Well, yeah, they did because I had a computer. Oh, well, they didn't have like video on demand. And it wasn't video on demand, it wasn't Netflix, but I had videos I could watch, whenever my dad was watching TV or the TV was free and stuff. So I've got this real interesting connection, and like I say, because say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, God, I've only had half a beer, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 1974. Black Christmas came out in 1974. Italian Inferno came out in 1974. And then even like, real life people like Christian Bale was born in 1974. And he was like, oh, he was Batman recently. And like Robbie Williams, like top pop star. And Kate Moss, supermodel. But so it's kind of like this weird mishmash of like, I love watching things from the 70s because, and especially in 1974, like I say, because it's got that super connection to when I was born. Of like, so that's exactly, obviously it's a movie, so certain things are going to be exaggerated, but I kind of love the quote-unquote realism of this film. Like, say, when he's using a phone, chances are it'll be, because it was quite a cheap movie, so they're not going to fake a phone, or they're not going to fake what a phone box looks like. It's just not worth it. Like, although when they're reading Tempo magazine, they weren't popular enough to get the rights to Time magazine, right? X-Ray just says we had Charles Bronson there. It's like, but that's another thing about Charles Bronson though as well. You watch loads of Charles Bronson movies and loads of different decades. He almost looks like a different guy. It's like Snowy Funeral, and I wrote down my notes. The Snowy Funeral. It's like, that's such an iconic image. Then Snowy Funeral, a great band name, and that's free from the old LOCH. I'm just going to have to go through my notes from where I've skipped them. Apparently, the MPAA number from when I watched it when I was writing my notes is 23,930, and now we're on over 50,000 films rated by the MPAA. So it's like, it's a big chunk of time. It is funny though as well when you look at something like Jeff Goldblum though, that like, and that's another thing though as well. I probably say this all the time, and but it feels cold. I mean, it's 63 Fahrenheit according to the temperature on the clock, which sounds like a mad sentence. But it's not exactly the Bahamas, where I'm sitting right now. but that feels really cold there. And I really feel like 70s films really captured that. I think like the more low budget the film, or the more sort of they don't like interfere with how it was shot. And I don't think this is just my imagination as well. But 80s films, they always seem like they've got this haze to it. Like it was like smog or pollution or whatever, I don't know. But I usually can tell, like if you just see a city shot of like New York or something, and it's like 80s, like usually you see it at the end of films, like when the camera will pan back and things like that. And it's like, oh, 80s. I just feel like that. It was just my imagination or whatever. So I got some great shots there. I remember I used that image when I was going to, in the DVD commentaries days, when I was going to do a Death Wish 3 solo commentary. It took me about 5 years to do. I put that image up saying, "We'll be back." Well, I wrote down in my notes as well. It's like there he says, "Where are you going to find my dog?" He's right. He paints with his paws. He's like, it's like, wow. I don't like the thought of paint being on a dog's paws, but I'd love to see some artwork by a dog. That's nothing though as well. I think I just kind of referenced it when I said like about the box and stuff, where it says first time on video in 15 years. And I'm 99%, I should have done my research even better, but I'm not 99% certain this is cut. But what I do think is funny is, like say, the HD one they recorded off Sky is that sort of, I'm pretty sure that's fully uncut. And when you think it was banned for years, it eventually come on video, it's cut, and now it's just, yeah, there it is. It's like, it's like, I think you can get them all on DVD now, and I assume they'll be uncut. It'll be interesting just to see. But even worse than that, if the DVDs are cut, but the Sky one isn't. Not Sky one, the one on Sky. Which I find police were attractive. I think this is one thing though as well, and it's like once you start knowing anything about filmmaking, it becomes really apparent. But when, like, say, the police are really, and to be fair, this is probably what they would be in real life. It's probably not fake, but like because in these big cities and stuff, if somebody's been murdered or whatever, the police force is always stretched and things like that. But the police are like, yeah, we'll see you later, or the doctors are like, yeah, see you later, kind of thing. But it gives like this real justification to sort of what he does in this movie, and it's kind of is true, but it's a real good shorthand of like he feels like the police haven't done anything and things like that. So it works on kind of a couple of levels really. But Michael Winner though as well, that directed this, was so cute at that. He's one of them directors where I think he was nowhere near. He did get this sort of appreciation, I think, because he was successful. But I think because Michael Winner, and especially in his later years, because he got this like reputation as like a food critic, and he was just on TV all the time, and he was on like these crazy adverts and stuff. That he had this catchphrase. I don't want to repeat the catchphrase because it just he said you should calm down here on these adverts and stuff, and things like that. So I think he got this reputation of being like a bit of a comedy character. But that's one thing I was going to say. Yeah, I think I wrote to me into about having like crazy adverts, and this is like another thing though as well, that like say using films from the year I was born as like sort of a jumping off point. Well, I guess it would be because that's when I was born, so you become super aware, or I become super aware of this. But like say when you get like say a lot of people from an old, like my dad or my mum and things like that, milk. But I think I wrote that in my comments about milk and exclamation mark. But people, TV was brilliant in the 70s, and you watch some old 70s, and there was a lot of great TV in the 70s, but you see some really stupid adverts and things like, you think, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Oh no. Somewhere there's a crime happening. Yeah, that was another funny thing about like just writing these notes, is that like 'cause I just was writing little things that caught me attention and things like that. But I got to over 100, and it creates this weird spacing problem that like sort of it sort of staggers across one, like, you know, a few spaces. And I saw a few people on the internet saying, like, how do I get rid of this problem? And it's like, you have to go into the margins and change everything and stuff. I did find out how many quarters that was in. $20 in quarters is 80 quarters. So I guess you got hit in the face with 80 quarters. That would hurt, right? And as well, I was thinking as well, what, like, certain jobs that are like quote unquote respectable. There are like you've got like lawyers, doctors, dentists, architects, but I wonder sort of why that is. Like, I guess because like something like a doctor, you think, well, you're saving people's lives, or like a dentist, it's like, medicine and things. But like something like an architect, you do think, yeah, an architect, that does, it's pretty respectable. I guess you've got the old brains I'm tapping my head there. If that turns up in the commentary, that'll be terrible. He goes on vacation as well in this, so it's kind of like it's like a really violent National Lampoon. Oh yeah, and that's one thing as well. And this is like another thing though as well. My brain nearly exploded then because I was just going to say two things simultaneously. But like, this is that classic 70s house. Like I was saying, like trying to just try and articulate my point, and I couldn't do it very well. But like, I think sometimes you think of, like, when I grew up in the 70s, most of the people didn't have much money, and most people didn't have things. We had like one TV, and I didn't get like a video until like 87 or something like that. So I was like, but like then, like, there you've got like a record player and like a TV and stuff. And I think the very first home videos were coming on sale in like 74, 75, 76. So it's like, a theory could have, like, he could have the technology to watch this even then. Oh, and that's nothing though as well. What was it? Oh yeah, that's the VHS box. The VHS box is really cool. Got this, it's like printed on like foil almost. It's got like a foil element to it, and it like reflects red in the light. It looks really good. I'll have to try and get a picture of that, like some cool lighting and stuff. Do it with the decent camera and like the SLR and stuff. Yeah, I watched a great Ian Lee recommended this documentary on Twitter. It's called Chuck Norris versus Communism, and it shows how stupid like racism and xenophobia is, because I always thought Russia was cool anyway, from like growing up watching things like Firefox and Red Heat and Rocky 4 and things like that. But yeah, he was saying like loads of these Russians were smuggling in tapes of like Chuck Norris in sort of Stallone movies and things like that, and watched him thinking how cool they were and stuff like that. And I was thinking just how crazy it is that you've got like sort of all these countries, and especially years ago, it happens a little bit now, but like where there's all these prejudices and sort of people, if you're bigoted or whatever, oh, I don't like them from that country. And it's like I say, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, as it were, but that, like, yeah, I like to think I've never been racist and xenophobic, because I've always thought it's just, to me, it was, hey, people are people, not one saying to peace, man. But like like when I was growing up, almost instantaneously, anybody who I thought was cool was either, at the very least, not from the UK, or was like someone like Richard Pryor, Jackie Chan, all these people that if you were xenophobic or racist, so it was like, it was never a problem to me. But just watching that documentary last night, I was just thinking, it really hit home just how like sort of that's nothing though, just how sort of crazy racism is. But that's they're decanters though as well. That's like another thing that, like, so I can remember, like, say sometimes if I go around, like, say, because I had older sisters when I grew up, and they'd have like a bar and stuff, and they'd have like decanters and things. And it's like, even though like a lot of people I know drink, or drink a little bit at least, I can't remember last time I went to an house and saw a decanter. My dad hasn't got a decanter. And that's another thing that's happened since, I think, the Death Wish 5 commentary is the website they used to go to a lot, Death Wish Files, is gone again. So I don't know if he'll do a sort of DVD commentaries, and we'll be back on the air, as it were. But what's definitely about that airport there, because I don't know why, when I saw that airport, I just thought it looked fake, but just as if they wrote Tucson in like, you know, on some like optical effect or something. This was before computers, right? But and I sort of did a Google image search for Tucson Airport, and there it was, exactly the same. My dad, somebody he knew in the 80s went to Tucson and brought him a cowboy hat, so it was like, you know, again got this like, it's all this like, oh, it's a western now. Don't about my dad though. I think I'm just looking at my notes. My dad's got all the Death Wish films apart from Part 4, and it's funny about that because that's like the very first one I saw, and I think my dad's got it taped off TV. To be fair, I think it's got it taped off Channel 5. And that's another one I've got as well. And I bought them off eBay for like £5. It wasn't that much, I think £4 or something. It was super cheap anyway. But somebody had cut the frames from a trailer, and I don't think 35mm, I think it was like 8mm. Yeah, I'm sure it was a trailer because it said Death Wish on, like, you know, sort of like on the frame in a weird way. But I'll have to try and find them if I can scan those frames from that trailer. It'd be ace. Like, and that there, that's nothing though as well, like where say people say like sort of like great western imagery there, but when people say like, oh, look at 70s clothes, and you just think of flares and, you know, this kind of stuff, but like what Charles Bronson was wearing then was, you know, quite quote unquote normal. Although it's just sad that I wouldn't walk past in a bright green skirt, and it's like, you don't see that every day, to be fair. Be good to check out the cars from the car movie database as well, because I'm sure there's some classic 70s cars and the 60s cars. So far I'm on number 25 in my notes, and I've gone to decanters, nice living room. Is that what Tucson Airport really looks like? Question mark. Yes, it says after. It's a western! Exclamation mark. I put, looks really natural seeing Bronson in a western setting. I don't know if we've gone past this because I haven't got the sound up very loud, but there's a quote here: never look back because there might be something gaining on you. That's a great quote. And this is as well when I was saying that, like, I was sort of, I say people from my generation, I don't know if they have deliberately got selective memories and like, oh, we didn't have mobile phones in the 80s, and it's like, we did, you know, but like, I always think it's kind of funny though now is that, like, I must have said it on the other Death Wish commentaries, but I did my work experience in a gunsmith's, and now that'd be like, oh, bloody hell, you can't, kids in machine guns. And it's like, here, there's one part in this though where somebody says, "Oh, those gun control, you know, namby-pambies or whatever," and you're like, "This was 1974. That was the year, son." But so, you know, 1974, and even then, and this is like, again, fiction, but I think it's definitely got one foot in reality, if not both feet. You know, both feet doing a flying kick, probably, to be honest. But it's definitely got, like, you know, a huge heaping dose of reality in this. And so I think that, you know, the fact that there was people complaining about guns in 1974, unbelievable. Oh, is a Mindy coming in? Hey, Mindy. Charles Bronson's looking hot there. But it's like there though, it's like just those, like, and this is the thing I think is really awesome about film, that like Charles Bronson in real life seemed like a really shy, you know, family guy. Luckily there's a family. Oh, that's the thing that I think I must have said before, but I always love him. Roger the Alien from American Dad, when he goes out, like, doing, like, if you're doing anything dodgy, and then he dresses up like Charles Bronson, he puts like the hat on and stuff. But yeah, but like, I was sort of, in real life he was probably like just such an ordinary guy, and then on film he's like such a badass. It's like he was just standing there looking like just there wearing like a short sleeve shirt, and he's like, yeah, I'm Charles Bronson. And it's Charles Bronson as well, the only person to train with an axe. It's like there, you know, it's probably like, you know, it's like, but that's nothing as well when you do see people surveying. I still, to this day, it's so complicated. I've never been, again, it's shocking me the way my dad used to drive around in trucks and stuff, and it's like, sort of thing that like I can barely read a map, and then you've got all these people that can actually make maps. I guess that's a respectable trade, right? If you're a surveyor. There's some really nice shots in this, and like when I was saying about like Michael Winner though, that like he sort of, somebody took some stills once of like Death Wish 3 and they were really well framed in the composition and everything, and I think that's something Michael Winner does literally not get enough credit for. And I was just looking at my notes as well, saying, does he wear glasses in the others? And I think he does in part 2. I don't think he does in all the others, but like this is the weird thing with Charles Bronson though as well. Again, like just probably loading facts in there that aren't really there, or your own personal viewpoint on things. But he seems to age in like reverse. It's like, because you look at like Death Wish 4 and 5 and stuff, and like he looks to me younger then than now. His like hair looked better, his moustache was fuller, and he could do like 100 press ups and stuff. And it's like, what? And it's like, even now, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll feel bad, but I still almost can't believe Charles Bronson's dead, because he just feels like they're, like Ronnie Corbett's just passed away, unfortunately, like rest in peace and stuff, and he was like 95, and I know Charles Bronson, he had this reputation for being like a badass and stuff, but you just think, oh wow, it's like, well, time's up again. I put similar to the gun case in part 3, very posh looking. When he gives me that gun, I guess it is. At first I thought it meant the gun case on the wall. It's weird looking at these notes, because I almost did it like a stream of consciousness. So I just watched it and I was like, writing the notes and stuff. So anything that just caught my eyes on these notes, and some of them were like really bizarre. But there must be. I put. I think this guy said it best when he said, "I'll mug Charles Bronson." So I don't know what that's pertaining to. Another thing as well, there was in the VHS box, I've tried to do scans of these, but I've got notes from when I was going to do the commentary before, but it says vigilante review notes. I don't know if this was this. Oh, this might have been for the game actually. How many things with the name Vigilante? Find out. Still never done it. 5-year-old notes. 80s boom time for Vigilante movies. Started in 1974 with Death Wish, continued with Exterminator, Exterminator 2, A Spit on Your Grave, plus remake, Paparazzi. Paparazzi, that's a good Vigilante movie. But nothing as well, and like a Philistine, I cut away the date, but I've got this cut in and we could scan it. It's by Michael Winner, and it says it's from The Sun, I assume. So my parents used to get The Sun. I'm not proud of it, but there you go. We had murders long before we had movies, by Michael Winner, director of the Death Wish films. It's silly season once again. Our dear Prime Minister, beset by rising crime figures, seriously announces this reason it's the fault of films and television. And, it goes on, but yeah. You can look at this picture, the guy always reminds me of the picture of him, Martin Short, for some reason. And I may as well say everything that was in the box. For some reason, there's a parking ticket from Asda Car Park from the 8th of the 12th, 2014, time 16:02. What's even weird about that? I don't drive. So it's technically not mine. Speed is getting dangerously low. It's like in like the model work in this that like should have been my random crew member, but I've got a random crew member. It's all ready to go. Also because it's kind of I bookended this commentary in a kind of weird way, thinking about it, unintentionally, by the way. Yeah, but you think if you did like some great models in this, and if you think like what little respect that guy, because I've literally until I just said that sentence never thought it. It's like a little think anyway. I thought he was wearing his famous hat then, but he knew it's just his hair. Maybe his hair is his hat. Wherever I lay my hair / hat, that's my home. Telephones. When I went back from Exeter a few months ago, probably about a year ago now, but they built like a brand new like bus station, and there was like a section with payphones, and like nobody's using them. I was like, oh, imagine nobody's using the phones there, so. weirdly, it says for 43 it says snow feels really cold, like 70s snow. That's strange because that's after the snow section. Charles Bronson never vomited home. I made myself laugh. Second beer time, folks. With my magnetic beer opener. That's a cool airport though. I wonder if that Lange is still like that. And that's great though as well. And you know, for obvious reasons, I'd kind of rather. God, Clint Eastwood just walked past in his punching to the left of the screen. But yeah, like so all the incidents that have been happening recently. But when you look, you think, has he just got on this airport with a gun? Oh, there's Clint Eastwood again. He's just walked by. Oh, I'm not noticed. It's not on my notes. I must have. That's how I kind of feel though, like say when I was a kid growing up though, that like not that my whole family had been killed by muggers, but like you know, you try and live up to your dad and you're like, but your dad's Charles Bronson. What's funny as well though, because like you know, touch wood, I don't really like getting hospitals that much, but the few times I've had to go, you know, visiting other people and things, that like a lot of the hospitals in Staffordshire look like that until about 2 months ago. And that's not even a joke either. Well, one of my notes previous, it said something like, would you write the headline if he killed those nuns? And then, that was number 12 on my notes, and then number 48, I put, are those the same nuns? I know there with the polar neck. Not going a polar neck, I'll have to try it on. Can you still buy it? I don't know. Well, I was watching Bond the other day and he was wearing beige trousers, Timothy Dalton, Living Daylights, and I was like, yeah, I mind some beige trousers. And then I went in Primark, classy, and I saw a big stand with a load of beige trousers. I was like, ooh, I got some of them, didn't I? God, what a pointless story. Looking through his mail, I think I heard something got pushed through the door. Maybe a free newspaper or takeaway menu. We'll never know. Tell that go, Lou. He looks like a really angry Ronnie Corbett there. As you tell he was loaded, he must have had. How many photos did he have taken? About 80. God. It's like Hollywood money for our photos developed. But that's one thing as well. Oh, in my day, but when I was looking through some photos and things for, well, Living Daylights car was one, because somebody took a picture of the Living Daylights car on Twitter, and their picture was blurred, and I said, well, I've got a blurred picture of it somewhere, and I went to find the picture, which kind of is contradictory to what I'm going to say. But when you look at old film photographs though, and you look at like, I think digital photographs are really cool, but when you look at like a lot of the photograph developing places, they're really cheap and they're using like these weird printers and like they crop the photos and everything, so it's not really the digital photograph's fault. But when you look at like a digital photograph printed, excuse me, compared to like an old film, it's like, oh my god. It is like the gun box from Death Wish 3. I was right. I agree with me. Coincidence Man is yet to make an appearance. It's like Captain Chaos and Cannonball Run. 6 shooter. A lot of old timers carry those. Bonus points. That's a good shot there. I like those lights and the very exploitation-y. That kind of reminded me of a load of exploitation films there. Did I notice balloons? I must have said balloons, wasn't it? I like for number 1965. Number 65, I put, figured out where it was from a 70s receipt. Total bullshit. And that's true. If anybody can remember 1970s steel receipts, you are not figuring out even what change you got. I like for 1966. I don't keep saying 19, but it's number 66 in my notes. It's one word, all in capitals. It says computers. I really will have to like, well, that's terrible. But that's nothing though as well. I think it's just because I've watched Death Wish one too many times. But like, touch wood. When you walk around late at night, like luckily I've never really seen much chaos, all things considered. But like sometimes even when I walk back from my friends' house at like 2 a.m. and there's like nobody about, you do just you do get that proper Death Wishy vibe to it, like that you just like there's nobody around. Oh, that's about I'll kill you. It's like the thing. But what's kind of brilliant about that though, because like I say, I've got this sound quite low, but like there was like a music cue under there, but in a lot of ways that just you kind of knew it was coming, and but like just like you just got me like thinking how surprised that guy must have been. Just like what. Yeah, I must have caught up with my notes because I'll kill you. Charles Bronson never promised home. Snowy day really feels like 70. Oh yeah, that's where it was. I think it's when the police come in. But it's like there though, because again, especially years ago when I was quite tittle stomached, or my dad still is a little bit now. But like that scene, I would have thought, oh, it's a shame you put that scene of him throwing up, but it really humanises that character. That if you saw something like that, you'd be like, oh god, oh, he's got a cold. It's like that guy in Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it just feels like there. You just tell that, like, you would think because it's quite low, but I know it's Charles Bronson, but like, you would think, there was probably no heated trailers or anything. They'd just go into like, run into a doorway or something. The police have arrested Rocky over there. But what's funny now, this must have been about a year ago, a couple of years ago, but I remember I was drunk, just all this surprise there, and I woke up at like 2 in the morning, and Death Wish was on Sky, and I think it was round about when I started listening to Jay and Silent Bob Geraldine, because Jason Mewes was born in '74, and Daily Star, is that really an American newspaper? Anybody knows, please post down below. Or sectorx.co.uk. But yeah, it was on, and it was like being like in this weird, alternate universe thing, like where it's just like I'm watching Death Wish and Hollywood Babylon 1974. It's like whoa. Another model? Sure, I had a model drinking game. Not that I need one. So that ashtray there. That's his next weapon from the quarters. And it's probably not even a joke to say if you threw that at somebody or dropped it, you could probably, you would come and steal. That said, though, what's actually interesting about this film, though, because again, it's one of those things I've always got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet for, is that, God, look, that I'll watch any old crap and they're like, if somebody's not smoking into something, that's very unrealistic. But this is a genuine, for real film from 1974, and there's not that many people smoking in it. I think I've got one part where it says smoking policeman, which is like, I would love that now. Honest to God, though. That said, I know it is a ridiculous thing to say, but I would love if you just saw a policeman outside just smoking. Not a crime, not yet. God, it looks cool in that coat. I just thought Affleck would be a good Batman, which he was. I've always been, the old Affleck. He's alright. I even like Geely, so how many people have stopped the commentary right there. But that sort of, it's sort of, if you just saw somebody smoking, like, that'd be cool. But yeah, Affleck. Is that the new Paul Kersey? It's like that is funny, seeing that people aren't smoking, but imagine, like, I just loved it, like, it's just how times change and how times don't change, but just, like, say when I was saying that, like, when I did my work experience in a gunsmiths, and it'd be like headline news and everything, but I kind of just loved that, like, if you just saw a policeman no smoking, just the headline. You didn't see anyone. Awesome. Oh my God, Arkham Asylum. Oh yeah, there we go, because I put that, are they the same nuns? The same nuns. You call this going straight? 1 billion points if you get that nun quote there. Funny because there's quite a few characters there, and this is not an easy thing to say in a Death Wish movie. There's quite a few characters that make it from Death Wish 1 to Death Wish 2, like his daughter, like the cop. I like how those two people actually be seen specific for half a second, just as the scene's getting cut away. But it's those people walking up the stairs there. Excuse me. That's a very well done shot. That's really cool. So simple, but really nice. And again, look at that. That's a proper night. Like, that feels cold. Like, the number of times I've been, say, out somewhere like that, and if your shoes looking in a bit of water or something, or you're just cold and you've got waiting for a bus or something, that's a really great shot. And just the way the car looks, that's so 1970s, but in a really cool way. And that's the thing about, say, something like this, where, like, it's a very, very mild superpower, but, and again, it's stuff I grew up with and stuff I'm passionate about, so I'm obviously going to be a little bit biased, but I'm so glad, and I probably say it on a lot of commentaries, but I can watch something like this and not think it's, like, stupid, and, like, there is silly elements in there, and like I say, it's very, you could get a lot of, like, debate about this film, about the violence and the politics and things like that. But I'm so glad that I can watch this and not be like, ooh, look at the clothes or the fashion or the cars or the things that, like, that I do get, like, oh well, good that looks, and that's an interesting shot, and I like the design of that car and things like that. Because, like I say, I do always have this thing, and it doesn't stop doing a commentary off of VHS when I've got an HD digital copy there. I'm sucking, digging my own grave, making rod from my own back kind of thing. But at the same time, it is like, well, I like 70s stuff, and I've got this reputation for a bit of a Luddite. You're the VHS guy, or that kind of stuff. You like, you're banging about 1974 every 5 seconds. But I like say something about Ben Affleck as Batman. It took me a couple of viewings to really, really, fully appreciate it. But, like, yeah, it was a good movie, and I like new music, and I like new cars, and I like, like always on my phone taking pictures of God knows what, and going on like Reddit and things like that, and God knows what I did before the Internet Movie Database and YouTube. But at the same time, it's like there's some cool stuff in this, And like that, I love how there's like about 40 people in that room. That's quite cool. But that's another thing though as well about like low budget filmmaking, is that you can really tell that no, quote unquote low budget. I mean, a Paramount picture with Charles Bronson in. I mean, it's not exactly not exactly like, I don't know. It's not like there's no budget there, but like I saw a trailer for the new Daniel Radcliffe film called Swiss Army Man, and it's almost like a sort of Weekend at Bernie's vibe to it kind of thing. But it really felt new and fresh and sort of things, even though it reminded me of Weekend at Bernie's. But when you get like low budget filmmakers, they've got no creativity and they're just like, let's make a zombie film, let's make a zombie film, let's make a zombie film. And then you're like, you'll get something like this that was like, started this whole wave of like, vigilante movies and things, and it's like, it's interesting seeing the adverts on the train. I think there's like cigarette adverts and stuff. I don't know what I can do. Winston cigarette advert looks like Bronson on the advert I put, and this goes without saying, look at that there, looks like Charles Bronson just on there. He's become, it's like the Matrix, they've made a glitch and he's just appeared on an advert. But and this goes without saying, but I've put number 56 in my notes. Muggers in these films are such arseholes, which I guess makes sense. But like this suspect, I mean, to be fair, if you go around mugging little old women and on the subway, you probably are a bit of a dick. But like but it is one of those things where they're so spectacular, like it's like such morons, like I think that's where I must be coming from. Number 40, like I said before, I think this guy said it best when he said, "I'll mug Charles Bronson." Oh no, it was the other guy thinking about it. Should have waited again. Actually says vigilante on the train behind him. Oh, that could be interesting to spot. I must have. Maybe he didn't start the vigilante craze. I've only been watching and researching these films for 35 years. You learn something new every day from your own notes. I said something about TV on that paper then as well. The first Canadian something, it says on that billboard. Yeah, but this is very reminiscent of Daredevil. That's like when, that's one of the few people he kills in the Ben Affleck Daredevil. Again, here we go. It's all what goes around just comes around. Yeah, but that just, I mean, I guess it's New York and the subway system probably hasn't changed, since then. So I know, imagine you try to rebuild or it's like, yeah, we'll just rebuild the subway, or we'll regenerate it. What do they call it? Rejuvenate, I think that's the word. Like I say, there's some really great shots though. Like I say, just these little slow camera movements as well. I think that's where I say, like say you get like a lot of quote unquote modern filmmakers that like they go overboard with it, and I do kind of like it. So look at that as well. That must be in my notes. The news being shot there on film. I mean that's one thing that as sort of well again I won't sort of day to day, but one thing I do love about this, and it kind of reminds me of about like Stallone might be in the remake and stuff, but that's one thing I love that when you watch the Rocky films and you can see like the actual Panavision cameras actually filming the fight. Like if you look and stuff, and it's like they could have actually been cameras shooting this scene, but it's like, oh no, it's the news. Oh yeah, there's the police chief there from Beverly Hills Cop, and he's the bad guy cop in Beverly Hills Cop, and he's the bad guy in Arthur. Dudley Moore though, that'd have been a brave choice for that's really cool. That's one thing as well. Like, even though I forgive a lot of, I love it says log there and giant. I tell you what, there's a Q right there, surely. not the Q from James Bond. But yeah, that I quote unquote forgive a lot of stuff in 70s and 60s 70s movies and stuff. But like when you see a TV in a 70s movie and you can tell it's literally just like almost cut and paste on there, that like it doesn't bother me, but I notice it every single time. It's just like, oh, I see what they did there. But then again, it's that classic thing where, like saying before, that like I quite like how I can get some appreciation for these kind of films, and I'm not laughing at them or thinking, oh, look at that, it's dead stupid. But even though that takes me out of the film a little bit, and I hate that phrase because it takes me, it's obvious you're watching the film, who in the right mind has been like, sort of, oh, I thought it was real, like, kind of thing. But in the sense that like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, I think a lot of people could watch this and be like, oh, look how bad that effect is. But I consider that effects, mid-70s, Excuse me. I almost thought you were going to put that phone down then. Just to cut the guy off. But there's something quite cool as well about, like, oh, look at that receipt there. Like, that's what I'm saying. And that's like a fancy Hollywood's, bullshit, like, that receipt, it was quite clearly printed and stuff like that. But, geez, like, it's kind of like, honestly, they'd be the best cops in the world. It'd be like RoboCop mixed with Columbo and mixed with Juliet Bravo or something. That like, if you could figure out a crime from a 1970s till receipt, you deserve a promotion. It's a commendation. Is that the right word? You don't see commendation every day. I always love this scene as well because the number of times, like I say, I've gone like say my dad's house, so I just didn't even know. I just feel like just playing some records, and like play some, put that Death Wish Jeff Love theme on. Turn it up, and that's on my notes as well. I'm on the third page. Yeah, I've got turn it up, turn it back up. Shaft's theme! Exclamation mark. Pussy posse. I don't know what the hell that means. 8th Avenue. I got my job at the New York Times, and see the light at the end of the tunnel. That was a Daredevil reference where I love that line in Daredevil. He says, "See that light at the end of the tunnel? That's the C train." And that probably from the bit when he was just on the subway, or maybe a bit later on. I'm not sure. Stan's cooking him some meat. It might have just gone past the cinema. I don't know if you can make out the films but this is one thing, like I said before, about the shorthand in this movie, and it's almost got to be done like this, because it's just not got to be done like this, but it's very effective way of making a film, especially when you're flying in under that 90-minute mark, and it's exploitation and you want to be punchy and stuff like that. But like how you've got the prostitutes there, and you've got that the muggers there, black. I'm doing air quotes there. They were like, well, not that they're not black. Do you find women with huge boobs attractive smoking? But what's funny though, I'm saying that many people smoked in this film. Now every single person in the scene is smoking. It's like, they're bad for you. Oh God. Why does everyone keep mugging Charles Bronson? He's like a mugger magnet. But again, though, I kind of like I said before, the quote unquote low budget quality to this movie. I love that they probably did film this in a real subway, didn't change none of the adverts, none of the design of it. So it's like it just feels dead legit. I mean, if that is a set, it's like the best set of all time, But then again, I can't imagine they went on location either. But they probably did. What's kind of dead sweet though, because I've just had a bit of a Nam flashback. So I remember my mum saying that like if I was in a Zenith TV advert, I must be on the next page. Zenith television adverts is 73. Ooh, 74 is not a bad shot with a handgun. I don't know. Oh, it's the next one. There we go. Yeah. No, oh, 74. Here we go. No, Coincidence Man. He finally arrived. I was getting a bit worried that Coincidence Man wasn't going to show up, but yeah, I got a bit of a Nam flashback there. I always remember my mum saying that she, my mum said that we're using a payphone again. Spot the 70s film, right? But she would say that like, oh, you know, when muggers will be like that, they'll just ask you the time, then you'll get mugged, and it just kind of reminded me of that. They're like, we got light money. But frequent trains, and I forgot how good the music is. Boost, what is that? What is that? I don't even know what my notes are. But thank God, I thought it was going to be a liver and 32 bullets. It's so weird, like doing the notes about 6 months ago, and then well, I've got them really old notes. These notes about 2 months old or something. So that's what you notice. And then you don't notice. I guess I'm doing two things at once here. Probably look at my notes as well. No spitting, no smoking. What is it, Russia? 4 payphones in a row. That's coming up. It's going to be a delight. Like there, that shot of the police chief there looking through the window. Some really nice shots. What do those styles do? Don't touch them. Oh, boost. It was just on them boxes then. Boost. What is that? Is it like maybe some gauze or bandages? Maybe I'm not sure. It's like room 237 when everybody's noticing things in the background. Well, I thought because of this it was that. Don't know about TV. No, bad size TV for 1974. That's one of them optical effects I was saying. Like I say, I mean, I couldn't do it, so. I think as well I'd put in my notes somewhere he'd been dubbed the Vigilante, but that's got to be the most unimaginative nickname in any kind of media. You know, like if it's like books or comics or there's a Vigilante. What should we call him? Vigilante. Okay. Oh God. But it's like things like this that, like, you know, it's kind of like I like it, and it's kind of like one of these things where it's kind of like again, it's like the shorthand thing of like, oh look, he's influenced people, but you know, it's kind of cool, so you know, I can't really have a go really. Oh, I should kick this. Tempo magazine. That's a bit like the Tempo magazine in what's it called? Tempo in Rocky, where they couldn't get the rights. I tell you what though, Harper's Bazaar, I think that was. But I tell you why, you know, when he had all them photographs developed, he had like about 8,000 photographs. He must have a subscription to every single magazine in the world. But even that's a really quote unquote modern way of filmmaking. I can imagine them doing that now in like a Transformers movie or a Fast and Furious movie, something like that, where they would have like, you know, people as if they literally talking to cameras, if like, you know, they kind of knowing, and it's like sort of not knowing that they're in a film necessarily, but you can tell it's geared up to sort of talk to the audience. That's quite clever in a way. I think it's been 10:30 on the clock the whole time. That a policeman smoking a pipe there. Oh my God. I really do think though as well, like when I said earlier on, when there's a scene with a lot of people in, and I know it's not Ben-Hur, like which has been remade, is coming out next year. Was it next year? No, I think it might be August as well. But when you're in a room with like 30 people and you can't have any of them looking at the camera, or you've got to weave the camera in and out of that, again, I think a lot of people just watch this shot and go, yeah, whatever, it's just some guy in a room talking. But those crime, I think I put my notes for those crime photos. I mean, that's crazy. They're just like so brutal. I guess that's kind of the point. This was a good shot as well here. That like sort of talk about like loads of people in a room. You've got him walking up the stairs. You've got like all these people talking and everything. But again, this is that thing where I don't think virtually nobody mentions about these films, and they really well put together. I thought it was Pat Morita and it was being green as well. Right? But that's one thing I think, like I say, when there's just racial equality, and that's what's so funny that, like say, because even though I was technically quote unquote born when this film was released, the 1974 thing again, I keep banging on about, but even though I was born, obviously it was banned in this country, and even, I think Kevin Smith said he went to see it when that shot there, just dead like Escape from New York. There's a shot of John Carpenter filming Escape from New York that looks really good like that, and I think this reminds me of a shot of it's like the Chrysler building there. It reminds me of The Man and Myth, that Bruce Lee exploitation film, Bruce Lee I should say. But yeah, when they talk about like their racial equality and things like that, and that's one, like I said before, where like say if I grew up with people from my generation, they'd be like, oh, we didn't have, people didn't know about race equality and things like that, and this was filmed in 73, released 74, and more things change, eh? Says 73 there. Coincidence, man, strikes again. Says 73, the year it was filmed. I'm saying it was filmed in 73, it couldn't have been filmed in 74. Number 100, where this weird space happens, it says green jumper. It's weird that some scenes are punctuated with somebody wearing bright green. That's got any kind of symbolism to it, or deliberateness, or a coincidence. Like there as well, the reflection on the window, and it was just being wound down. That like. But that's the thing as well, it's like this reverse of what I was saying, that when people say, oh, we didn't have that in my day, I'm sorry, reverse is the exact same thing, but in the sense that like people go, oh, well, I was born in 2000, I can't remember cars with wind down windows, and then you get people like, well, I've got a car from 2002 that's got like wind down windows and stuff, or corded telephones. There you go. It's like that switchboard that guy's got, it looks like the most complicated thing in the world. I think I must have caught up with my notes. Well, not caught up with my notes, but figured out where I am on my notes. Yeah, Charles Bronson was going to be. I think the studio wanted Charles Bronson to be Snake Plissken as well. That's got that kind of real nice sort of, again, that circular quality. They were like, everything's connected. Yeah, because I think it's in 92. Did he have a search warrant? Anybody look greasy is my next notes. Number 94. Statistics from the computer. Vigilantism of this week. Read. Oh God, he's dead wife. Oh God, a tissue dispenser. Oh yeah, I've never noticed that before. I don't pass with these people. I now want a tissue dispenser like that in my bathroom. It's like my bathroom, but put in the wrong way around, because I've got the toilet's next to the sink, next to the bath, and that's the bath, the sink, and the toilet. So it's like, oh no, it's the same. Thinking about it. There's a picture of him. I don't think I've noticed that before. Did the dog from the pub barking then? Old Wilson? Now this is a dilemma. I've got another beer here and I want a wee. Let's go for it. He's a great actor though, that guy who's the police chief from Beverly Hills Cop. For 107, I've got that music reminded me of Ghostbusters. Oh, they've got sweets. But that's the thing as well with this scene. If you just said, like, if I've seen this film loads, but like, if you just paused it there and said, he's going to pass something to every single person in this room, what's it going to be? You think, oh, is it going to be like a shot of whiskey or a cigar or a cigarette? It's like, sweets. It's like, okay. It's like, who saw that coming? I feel like one of them muggers who's just been shot. Like, what? Was that sweet to hide the breath from all the whiskey they've just been drinking? There's only two lights working in that little lamp there. But like I said before, though, that like I say, I don't know if it was just like growing up in a house that didn't have a phone, and you know we only had like one TV for a long time and stuff like that. You know, to be fair, that we did have two TVs relatively early, you know, all things considered. But like when you think like the amount of technology in this film, like I say, it's, you know, phones and pay phones and typewriters and electric typewriters and computers. A working payphone though. Luxury. It's like now, like I just did like a little bit of the wah wah guitar and stuff, and that's one thing I really sort of, you know, quote unquote missed, that like I feel like now that you can't, you very rarely hear it, like really sporadically. And but like say saxophones and stuff, I like the thought of a newsstand though as well. It's like, you know, I have seen newsstands, I always feel like they're like a made up thing. Like I say about the car movie database having a field day. You know. I've always loved that though, that like say, like how I sometimes do with like say, you know, certain say, oh that's a VHS video in the background or something like that. But sort of how somebody could even take it to the next level and say, look at that police car, and go, oh well, if you look at the way the boot goes there, it's like say a 1972 model as opposed to a 73 model. It's like, wow. "33 Riverside." So I had in my notes as well. So any super hardcore trivia buffs, that's his address. I think his wife, or it was 4A was the room number when they pretended to be the delivery people. But even that, you know, they had the shopping delivered. I mean, you know, God, did that happen in the 70s? You know, sometimes you see people having the shopping delivered online. You know, it's, beer 2 finished. Beer 3. I said to my dad and I said to Stu the other day though, there is something about that, like if somebody said to me, that's a great shot there, so it was like, but Twilight Zone kind of stuck together guy, the weird bit of wood just above the door at a weird angle. But that like, if somebody said to me now, would you rather go out drinking on like a Friday or Saturday night, or like drink at like dinner time? And it's like one of those things where, like, you know, oh yeah, it's just 4A, yeah, 4, well, so does that work then? 4A, yeah, so it was, yeah, it's right. 33 Riverside, but the apartment's 4A. Oh, that makes sense. Of course, yeah. How do apartment blocks work? No. No, it's weird. That's strange. Why not just have the number? No, that's right. But yeah, that you think that, like, say, most people, especially teenagers or wherever they called or do nowadays with the hip things. No, but like, yeah, I think a lot of, you know, people say, oh, go out drinking, partying Friday, Saturday night stuff. But I think there is, like, you know, I've only got like a handful of beers. Excuse me, Jesus, that was bad. Apologies. But yeah, even though, like, say, I only got like a few beers here, which, you know, I'm really grateful for, don't get me wrong, that like it feels so much more rebellious drinking in the morning than like sort of, you think, excuse me, all these people are like at work and stuff like that. It's always kind of good as well if you get like a phone call from, like, say, a semi-serious place, and like it has happened a couple of times. It's happened the other week where, you know, like, just saying it's just somebody, you know, like, say somebody with a bill or something like that, and you pick up the phone and you've got like a beer there, and you're like, it's like, yeah, it's like, hi, you're at work, I've got a beer, see you later. I think I put me notes. Well, it's Halloween. Is it Halloween? Charles Bronson Halloween, or just partying? I did see a guy just like the Tin Man then, but that's another cool thing. An out of service phone. There you go. That's more realistic. Oh, there, I think there's that sign: no smoking, no spitting. That's in Terminator. A rotary, but it's like there though, a rotary payphone, and this, like when I was saying that sort of, that's like, you know, this ping pong back and forth. People, oh, I don't remember that, or we did have that, but like there, you see a rotary payphone, you think, oh, how 1970s is that? Well, I always remember in Jason Takes Manhattan, when they get back to New York, they find a payphone. It's a rotary payphone, and that's like 1988, 1989. So, you know, there's a good chance that that phone was still there, maybe in the 90s, you know, or, you know, at least they could see how it like or something. So it's like, you know, that scene, that phone was there in that scene 4 years before I was on the internet, or 4 or 5 years before I used the internet. Crazy. But I love all this technology, so I don't mind either way. But like I say, it with me, there were like payphones that, like, I always feel that even though, like, I've got a mobile phone, it's one of them things where, and even though it doesn't happen that often, and it doesn't really seem to happen to anybody that often, that the phone runs out of charge, or, you know, they can't find some way of communicating. You know, you do stumble on, like, you know, a bit of Wi-Fi or something like that, or you know, like, say, you know, you might find like a payphone in a pub or something. But I've always kind of liked the idea of just knowing that payphones are there, because, you know, like everything nowadays is like, you know, sort of these phone centres that you have to phone up, and yeah, everything's like, you know, you have to do it over the phone and stuff like that. Well, that was funny because, well, that's something I'll say these 2 points is that, like I love the old rotary payphones, but I even like some of the newer ones where they had like a full keypad on them, or there was one where it's even like a trackball for the mouse and like a screen. You could go to websites and stuff. I was just like the thought of knowing where a payphone is. It just feels right to know where a payphone is, and then it's kind of like, what was the point I was going to say? I can't remember. But yeah, it's always that thing of, like, sort of liking the technology, but like, I'm not super. I don't. You know, it's like, no wonder they're getting rid of payphones, because I always think to myself, if I don't use them, who the hell uses them? You know, that's such a great shot there. That's an iconic shot. Even in this 4-3, you know, bastardized version of it. That looks really great. Cause it looked like it was cropped then because of the way it was framed. Then it was like looked like it was cropped at the side as well. I mean, I put like the blue light in the cool shot of the stairs. Fill your hand. These are your tag team muggers. But it's like there, though, like I said before, though, where I do kind of quote feel sorry for the filmmakers, where, you know, when I said about like in that diner scene when you saw the muggers and they were black guys, and you're like, oh, that was a bit racist. And then here, where it's like, it was like a white guy and a black guy, and like, oh yeah, like, you know, they try to like, you know, cover all bases, you know, so it's like they can't do right for doing wrong, you know. It's like, it seems like three white guys were like, that's a white guy, like, oh okay, yeah. But you know, there's white guy muggers, and you know, there's black guy muggers, and I always love as well though about like sometimes like there where you can sort of if you can make it the tax disc, it's always kind of cool. It's always really great there. Just looks awesome. But again though, this is like when I was saying about like the start, I kind of always forget that how it starts like on the beach and like it's all nice and everything, and you know he's just bang his hot wife and stuff. It's alright for somewhere, but it's with a woman. But like yeah, I always kind of forget this is how it ends, because I've watched it a bit more recently, because like I say, with, you know, thinking I was going to do a commentary and stuff. But if I haven't seen this film for a long time, I was like, oh yeah, it ends here. Like how he, like, you know, he gets shot and stuff. But again, I think that's, even though I love the sequels, you know, and I think, like say, when I get round to doing part 4, I think, you know, it's a bit like say with Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, that like Dawn of the Dead, I just think the one that everyone gravitates to, and obviously there's been, you know, Land of the Dead and Survival of the Dead and stuff like that. But I think with, you know, with those first 3, I think that most people are just sort of like, you know, Dawn of the Dead is the main one, but over the years, Day of the Dead has like grown on me. And I think, like, even though I love all the Death Wish movies, and like say I rented part 5 when it was new and stuff like that, you know, part 3 was everywhere because the computer game, and then, you know, the first couple were just, you know, the first, I must have said this on the other commentaries, but I think it should be said again, is that, sorry, oh dear me, sorry, I apologise, but Death Wish 2 was one of the very first ones that I remember seeing in a video shop. I was waiting for Crossy's video shop open and looking through the glass and stuff, you know, seeing Death Wish 2 there and stuff. So these films have always been there. But yeah, Death Wish 4, the more I think about it, the more I watch it, the more, like, you know, listen to the soundtrack and stuff like that, like, you know, and like, you know, and knowing people that went to see it at the Savoy and stuff, like, you know, like when one of my mates said he saw it at the Savoy, I was like, what? Like, you know, mind blown kind of thing. So it's like, you know, the ultimate like kind of thing. But yeah, so it's like, I think part 4 is like the best one. You know, if I just pull one off the shelf, it'd probably be part 4. But that said, that like if none of the sequels were made, making a long point even longer, but if none of the sequels were made, this would be like, oh my god, because it's set up for a sequel and everything. He's the guy from Spinal Tap there. Christopher Guest. Jackson Riley is and there's Shadow on the Wall. That's a great shot. I mean, that is really great. You got those 2 people, the shadow on the wall, and all the activity going around in the back, and like the shadows popping in from the lights and everything. Perfect. But yeah, Michael Winner again. But Michael Winner though, he's one of those people where, again, you know, growing, you know, things growing on you, as it were. Touch wood. But yeah, like how sort of in the sense that like I just come to love Michael Winner so much because he just, you know, he didn't give a fuck, but like in a really cool way. Like he wasn't like nasty or aggressive. He was just like, this is what I do and this is what I say. And if you don't like, because normally people say, I speak my mind, normally it's, I'm a bit of a dick. But he was just, he could back up what he said, and he was successful. And like, you know, when you think his later years, like he got paid for like reviewing food, and, you know, and it's like, you know, it's like living the dream, you know. still kind of weird though that like not weird on Facebook. I saw I'll see some stuff on his Twitter account, like, because I think his wife still uses his Twitter account, so it's like, which is, cool, it's just fine, which has nothing to do with me, but, yeah, so sometimes like, oh, Michael Wennis, like, oh, yeah, yeah, I think there's an advert in the train station, it says, Old Cheeseburger Dark, but I wonder what that was. It was like some weird Burger King, like Happy Meal, or especially limited edition burger, that kind of thing, seasonal. That's what I was looking for. And yeah, that build up to the end credits as well is so great because you've got that like when he does the mime with his hand and you got the music and it just literally that is so cool. I mean, that is one of those things where that is just absolutely perfect, I mean, it's up. Union Station, Milwaukee Road, Chicago. Check. I haven't. So there's some homework for you guys, or for me, for that one. Arthur C. Logan Hospital. I don't know if that's relevant information, but it's in my notes. And what's funny though, because I put space for handwritten notes and I didn't write any till this morning. I've got trailers on the tape, dead man on campus, and 4 beers. So many notes. But we've got right to the end, 120 notes, and the last one, 120, 121 is the last note, and it's by a random crew member. But again, just like paintwork on that door there. It's like little moments like that like, God, well, I think Jesus, how geeky am I? But like, they're the bits that really cement it for me as being like, this 1974 movie or the 70s movie is things like the paintwork. Like I feel like that, like it was like some guy with a brush doing it. That like I feel that like just little moments like that really sort of ram out of there. Union Station, Milwaukee Road. Yeah, Milwaukee Road. Yeah, I wonder if that's yeah, but it's I think it's like in the centre of the frame, I think. But as always, yeah, that advert that I was looking for. But I've always loved this though, and I think I've said it in loads of the commentaries. But yeah, that dog burger there. There's an advert there, just in the middle there, just when that woman she's standing in front of it now. But yeah, I've always loved these build-ups as if it's like a sequel. I've always loved them, and it would be so great because I'm dead glad these films were successful and there were sequels and stuff. It's like give me another opportunity to do like Death Wish 2 and Death Wish 4 and maybe like say even Death Sentence. But this is so great. But when I said I'd like bookended the commentary unintentionally because I just like on a whim did that, like it was just like a book and tape read along. If you actually want to see that, I'll do it. But absolutely perfect. But I saw this guy as a random crew member, and the credits are quite short, so I'll have to rattle on here. But yeah, I saw this guy and I thought it was just perfect because he was uncredited, so that's perfect in itself. But he was Ken Thompson Sr. He was an uncredited grip, and he just worked on just this film. But thanks for watching, and see you later. And keep it locked. I remember when Paramount was a Gulf Western company.